It was another warm afternoon at the corporate retreat, and the lake shimmered under the golden sunlight, reflecting both the sky and the tension brewing in me. My boss, Madison, leaned casually against the deck railing, her sunglasses hiding most of her expression, but I knew that smirk too well. It was the one that meant she was about to make things interesting. "You've been bragging all week about how fast you swim," she said, voice teasing yet confident. "Think you can beat me?" I raised an eyebrow, pretending to consider. "I don't know. I've heard legends about how competitive you are." "Oh, I'm competitive all right," she replied, stepping closer. "But I like a little wager to make it fun. Beat me, and I'll reward you with one night." Her words hung in the air like a spark waiting for a flame. One night? With Madison? I blinked, letting my usual cheekiness take over. One night? I think I want more than that. She laughed, the sound bright and intoxicating, and I felt the familiar pull of desire mixed with adrenaline. "Confident, aren't you?" "I've earned it," I said, smirking. "But first, you have to see if I can back it up." Her gaze sharpened. "Fine. Tomorrow morning, first light. The lake. Winner takes all, or at least, winner gets to decide the night's details." That night, I barely slept. My mind kept replaying the stakes, the playful tension, the way she had looked at me. I knew Madison well enough to understand she didn't make empty promises, but she also didn't give away victories easily. The next morning, the lake was calm, almost unnaturally so, as if it knew what was about to unfold. Madison stood at the edge, her toned arms crossed, sunglasses reflecting the rising sun. "You ready to lose?" she asked, grinning. "You first," I replied, rolling my shoulders and stretching. The playful challenge had shifted into something more, an electric anticipation that made every nerve in my body alert. We dove in, slicing through the water with precision. I had trained for speed, but she was a force. Every stroke felt like a battle, every breath a test of endurance. Our eyes met mid-race, and in that moment, it wasn't just about swimming anymore. The day after our challenge was officially set, I found myself at the lakeside early in the morning. The sun had just begun to peek over the trees, casting golden streaks across the water, and I could already feel my heartbeat picking up, not just from the workout, but from the thought of facing Madison again. She arrived with her usual flair, sunglasses perched on her nose and a mischievous smile that made my chest tighten. "Morning, champ," she said, tossing a towel over her shoulder. "Hope you slept well, or you'll be gasping for air before halfway through." I smirked, leaning against the dock. "I slept fine. But I might need a bit of coaching to survive your speed." Madison laughed, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Coaching? From me? Sweetheart, I'm only here to make sure you lose gracefully." We started with warm-ups, stretches, laps, and light exercises, but the air between us was charged. Every time our hands brushed while adjusting swimming gear, a spark traveled up my arm. Every playful glance, every teasing comment was like a subtle game, building anticipation. "You know," she said during a brief pause, "most people just give up when I challenge them. But you're different." "Different good or different stubborn?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Both," she replied, eyes glinting. "But I like it. Makes winning more satisfying." The next few days were a blur of training sessions. Madison was relentless, pushing me beyond what I thought I could do. But in between the laps and sprints, there were moments that were less about competition and more about connection. She would splash me unexpectedly, her laughter echoing across the lake, or offer advice while standing closer than necessary, letting our fingers graze. One afternoon, as we rested on the dock, the tension reached an almost unbearable point. My shirt clung to my skin from the swim, and she leaned back on her hands, studying me as if I were a puzzle she enjoyed trying to solve. "You're good," she said softly, almost a whisper, but not unbeatable. I felt my pulse quicken. I might be, I said, teasing. If I try hard enough, maybe I'll win, and you'll have to honor that reward. Her smirk deepened. Oh, I plan to. But remember, I don't lose easily. And when I do, well, that's when the fun really begins. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every detail of our interactions replayed in my mind, the brush of her fingers, the way she smiled when she splashed me, the challenge lingering in her gaze. The bet was no longer just about swimming. It was about desire, about anticipation, about seeing who would give in first, not just in the race, but in the unspoken tension building between us. The morning of the race arrived with a tension that made the air feel heavy. The lake was perfectly still, reflecting the fiery hues of dawn. I arrived first, muscles tense and heart pounding, not just from nerves, but from the anticipation of what this race truly meant. Madison appeared moments later, radiant in her swimsuit, hair slicked back from an early dip. She walked with that effortless confidence that made everyone around her pause, but today it wasn't just presence, it was a challenge, a provocation. Ready to lose? She teased, raising an eyebrow. You'll see, I replied, a smirk playing on my lips, though my stomach was a bundle of excitement and nerves. We lined up at the starting point, toes gripping the wooden dock. The lake was quiet, save for the gentle lapping of water against the shore. My eyes met hers, and in that moment, the world shrank to just the two of us. Every playful comment, every glance, every touch over the past days culminated in this single moment. On my count, Madison said, her voice low, confident. 3, 2, 1. We plunged into the water simultaneously. Cold, invigorating, electric. Every stroke was a battle, arms cutting through the water, legs propelling us forward. The world around us disappeared. It wasn't just speed, it was about focus, determination, and the magnetic tension that had been building all week. Midway through the race, I could feel her pulling ahead slightly. Her technique was flawless, but I had something she didn't, raw determination and the stubborn thrill of wanting more than just victory. I dug deeper, pushing my body past the familiar burn, every stroke fueled by desire and adrenaline. We were neck and neck now. The finish line was just a few meters away. My lungs screamed, my muscles screamed, but my mind was singularly focused on her, the way her hair clung to her face, the curve of her shoulders under the morning light, the playful, intense gaze that dared me to challenge her. And then, somehow, I surged ahead. My final strokes carried me past her, and I touched the edge of the dock just moments before she did. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then, I felt her presence beside me, warm and electric. She was breathing hard, chest rising and falling, eyes glittering with something between admiration and desire. You actually did it, she said, voice catching slightly. You won. I smirked, trying to hide my own exhilaration. I told you. I want more than just one night. Madison's lips curved into a mischievous smile. You've got guts, she murmured. Then, without warning, she leaned close, her lips brushing against my ear. And the reward, well, that's up to you now. My heart pounded in my chest, not just from the race, but from the promise, from the unspoken tension that had finally reached its breaking point. The lake, the challenge, the playful rivalry, it all led here. We stepped out of the water together, water dripping from our bodies, and I could feel the heat between us intensify. Every glance, every subtle touch, was a prelude to what the night, and maybe more than just one night, might hold. The sun had climbed higher by the time we finally dragged ourselves out of the lake, muscles trembling from exertion, heart still racing from both the competition and the tension between us. Madison shook her hair back, droplets of water glistening along her collarbone, and for a moment, we simply looked at each other, the world around us fading into nothing. You really surprised me, she admitted, brushing water from her face. I didn't think anyone could beat me. I told you I wanted more than just a challenge, I said, catching my breath, though my voice carried an unmistakable confidence. And I didn't come here to lose. Madison's eyes sparkled, a mixture of admiration and something deeper, something hotter. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her warmth radiating. Then, you've earned your reward, she said softly. My pulse quickened. I had imagined this moment countless times during our playful banter, during the secret glances and accidental touches, but now that it was real, it was even more intense. Are you sure? I asked, a teasing smile curving my lips. Because I said I wanted more than one night. Her lips quirked upward, and she leaned forward, brushing my lips with hers in a fleeting, electrifying kiss. I'm sure, she whispered, her voice low and inviting. More than one night, if that's what you want. That was all it took. The tension that had been building for days, the playful rivalry, the near touch of desire in every conversation, finally broke. Our laughter mingled with soft gasps as we drew closer, the dock, the water, the early morning sun, all of it fading into the background. We spent the day in a haze of closeness, talking, teasing, and laughing, but also exploring the connection that had been simmering under the surface. Every look, every touch, every brush of fingers carried the weight of everything unspoken between us. By evening, the lake had turned a deep amber under the sunset, and Madison turned to me, her expression softened, almost vulnerable. You know, this isn't just about winning a bet, she said, her hand brushing against mine. I think I might actually like having you around more than I thought. I grinned, squeezing her hand gently. I was hoping you'd say that. Because I think this is just the beginning, not the end. And as the night fell, with the stars beginning to twinkle above us, we both knew that this was far more than a playful wager or a single reward. It was the start of something deeper, something neither of us could ignore, no matter how much we tried. The following days felt surreal. Work resumed, meetings and deadlines filled the hours, but the memory of the lake, the race, and Madison's smile lingered like a secret we both shared. Every glance across the office, every casual touch, carried the undercurrent of the connection we had sparked. Madison, always composed and in control, seemed slightly different around me now, more playful, more open, more willing to let her guard down. I noticed the subtle ways she sought my attention, a brush of her hand as she passed, a lingering look across the conference room, or a teasing comment during a casual chat. One evening, she invited me to her lakeside cabin under the pretext of discussing a new project. As I arrived, the sun dipping low into the horizon, I realized it was more than work. She greeted me with that mischievous smile I had grown addicted to and handed me a towel. The lake misses us, she said, a playful glint in her eye. And I think we might, too. We walked to the water, shoes in hand, feeling the soft sand under our feet. The golden light reflected off the lake, painting everything in warmth and possibility. I could feel the air thick with anticipation, but there was also a calm, a sense of connection that went beyond desire. About the reward, I started, teasing, but she cut me off with a laugh, stepping closer. I think we both know it's more than just one night, she said, her eyes locking onto mine. And I'm okay with that. If you are. I smiled, feeling a thrill of victory and relief. I'm more than okay. I want all of it. She leaned in, her lips meeting mine in a kiss that was no longer just playful or teasing, it was deep, intentional, full of promise. Every day of tension, every stroke of the race, every glance and touch led to this moment. Our bodies pressed together, warmth mingling, laughter and whispers blending into the evening air. After a while, we broke apart slightly, foreheads touching, both breathing heavily. You know, she whispered, I never expected someone to actually win against me. But now, I don't want you to leave. I grinned, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. Good. Because I don't plan on it. Not now, not ever. That night, we watched the stars reflect on the water, wrapped in blankets, close but not rushed. There was no pressure, only the knowledge that what had begun as a challenge, a playful wager, had grown into something real, something neither of us could deny. And as the moon rose above the lake, casting a silver glow across the waves, I realized that some competitions weren't about winning or losing. Some were about discovering what, or who, you really wanted. And I had found her. Madison rested her head on my shoulder, her hand in mine. So, more than one night, huh? She murmured with a smile.